Women are animals with long hair and short ideas, a sentence as cruel as it is sharp, like broken glass cutting through the mind today. It sounds offensive, hateful, and wrong. And it is, but those words came from Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the darkest thinkers in philosophy, a man known for his brilliant mind and his bitter view of life. Before we dismiss him as just an angry woman-hating man, which in part he was, let's pause, because behind his insult, beneath the hatred, there's something hidden, something uncomfortable, something many men feel but are afraid to say, not because they hate women, but because they've been hurt by love. Schopenhauer didn't hate women just for who they were. He hated what love did to him. He hated how it made him feel weak, unwanted, replaceable. And behind his anger was a deeper question, a question many men carry inside, but never ask out loud. Why does she always want more? Why does she leave, even when it felt real? Why does the next guy always seem better, stronger, richer, more confident? These questions don't come from hate, they come from heartbreak. And today we're going to talk about that. We're going to explore the painful truth behind hypergamy, the idea that women are drawn to men who are higher in status, power, or success. And we'll talk about the male resentment that quietly grows when love doesn't feel like love, but like a competition that you didn't even want. Is hypergamy know you were part of? To understand Schopenhauer's views on women and love, we have to understand his bigger philosophy. He believed the universe is not ruled by reason, logic, or God, but by something blind, powerful, and never satisfied. The will to live. This will is in everything from trees to animals to people. It wants one thing, survival, and it drives us to desire, to chase, to want things we don't have. But that's the trap, because desire always comes with pain. To want something means to feel a lack, and the will is never full, it always wants more. Schopenhauer believed that love, what we call romance, is not pure, it's not a spiritual connection, it's a biological trick, it's a disguise. He said love is just the will doing its job, pushing you to reproduce, to keep the species alive, not to make you happy. So when you fall in love, it's not because you found your person, it's because your biology made a choice. You didn't fall, you were pushed. And here's where it gets darker. Schopenhauer believed that women don't choose men based on emotions or kindness. At a deeper level, their instinct is calculating. Even if they don't realize it, their biology is silently asking, can this man protect me? Can he support a family? Does he have the strength, intelligence, and confidence my children would need? And this ancient instinct has a name: hypergamy. What is hypergamy? The quiet instinct that still hurts men today. Let's talk about something that most men feel but few ever say out loud. Why does it sometimes feel like love isn't about love at all, but about power? Why does it seem like no matter how kind, loyal, or supportive you are, she still ends up choosing someone else, someone taller, richer, stronger, more confident? Why? The answer might sound simple, but it goes deep. It's called hypergamy. So what is hypergamy really? Hypergamy is the natural instinct in women to be attracted to men who are on their level or above, in terms of strength, status, or success. It's not something evil, it's not about being shallow, it's not about gold digging, it's ancient survival programming. You see, in the past, long before modern life, before cities and comfort and dating apps, a woman's survival depended on the man she chose. If she picked a man who was weak, who couldn't protect her, who couldn't provide for her or her children, she didn't just risk heartbreak, she risked death. So nature gave her a gift, a kind of built in radar. This radar doesn't always work through words or logic, it's more like a feeling, a sense of who has power and who doesn't, a feeling that whispers, this man can lead, this man can provide, this man can keep me safe. Even today, even in a world of comfort and equality and independence, that radar still works. It doesn't look for the strongest hunter anymore, it looks for something else: direction, ambition, purpose. It looks for the man who is going somewhere, the man who knows who he is, what he wants, and refuses to be shaken. But here's the painful truth: sometimes you can do everything right, you can be kind, loving, supportive, loyal, respectful, and still she doesn't choose you. You might be the man who always shows up, who listens, who sacrifices, and still one day you see her leave, not because you were bad, but because you weren't enough for her instincts. Maybe she found someone with more confidence, more power, more social value, or just someone with a stronger. What happens when men stay silent? Presence in the world, and that doesn't just hurt, it breaks something deep inside, because when a woman leaves a good man for someone else, someone better, it doesn't just feel like rejection, it feels like you were thrown away. Like all the effort, love, and energy you gave didn't matter. It feels like you were out-competed in a game no one told you you were even playing. And that's where the resentment begins, not because men hate women, but because they feel used, discarded, swapped out like an old phone for the newer model. And that pain, it doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it hides behind cold silence or dry jokes or sarcastic comments like, "All women are the same nice guys, always finish last, love is a scam." But underneath all that noise there's a wound, a deep quiet pain that says, "I gave my best and I still wasn't chosen." And society, it doesn't help. What do men hear when they feel that pain? They're told, just be nice, be respectful, be yourself. But what if you were all those things? What if you gave everything you had, and it still didn't work? What if she didn't want the nice guy? What if she wanted the one with sharper edges, the one who moved through life like he owned it, not because he was better than you in character, but because he had more of what her instincts were silently craving? That's the part Schopenhauer understood better than most. Schopenhauer didn't just study this, he lived it. He didn't write about love like a scientist, he wrote like a man who had been broken by it, a man who gave his heart and was still left behind. He had a cold, distant relationship with his mother. He had failed romances. He often felt invisible, unwanted. His philosophy came from pain, deep personal pain. That's why his words carry so much weight, because they don't just speak to the mind, they speak to the heart of a man who feels forgotten. But here's the danger: when pain is mixed with truth, it becomes poison. If you let it sit too long, it grows bitter. It turns into blame, into hate, into shame, and that poison doesn't just hurt your view of women, it destroys you from the inside. So what do you do with this truth? You don't deny it, you don't bury it, you face it, you name it, you rise above it. Because this truth isn't here to make you hate women, it's here to wake you up. Attraction doesn't reward goodness, it rewards growth, it rewards direction, it rewards energy, confidence, and vision. When you start showing those things, truly not for approval, but from within, you don't beg to be chosen, you become undeniable. And the irony, that's when they notice you, not because you changed for them, but because you changed for you. What happens when men stay silent? Let's talk about the wound no one sees, the one many men carry quietly, the one they try to ignore, hide, or laugh off. It's the pain of giving everything, and still being told you're not enough. You stayed loyal, you were kind, you were supportive, you did everything you believed a good man should do, and in the end she still walked away, or worse, she stayed, but made you feel invisible. That kind of heartbreak doesn't always make a loud noise, it doesn't always come out in tears or shouting. Sometimes it just sinks deep into your chest, where it turns cold. When men feel this kind of pain, but aren't allowed to speak it, it doesn't disappear, it changes shape, it turns into something else: bitterness, frustration, anger with no clear target. And that anger, it starts looking for a place to belong. So where does it go? Often it finds a home online, in comment sections, in angry posts, in groups that say, "Love is fake, women only care about money, nice guys always the path forward." Lose. At first it feels comforting, you find people who finally get it, you hear stories like yours, you feel less alone. But over time those spaces stop being healing and start becoming echo chambers of rage. You're no longer learning how to grow, you're learning how to blame, and blame can feel powerful in the moment, but it doesn't heal you, it keeps you stuck in the same pain. Here's the truth: if you look underneath all that anger, you won't find hatred, you'll find grief. It's the quiet voice of a man who just wanted to feel chosen, who wanted to be enough, who wanted to love and be loved fully, deeply, honestly. But instead he felt overlooked, used, replaced, forgotten. So what does he do with that pain? Does he pretend it doesn't exist? Does he harden his heart forever? Does he become cold, numb, cruel? Does he let pain turn into poison? Or is there another way? There is, but it's not what you think. The solution isn't about chasing more women. It's not about learning tricks to impress them. It's not about pretending to be someone else. And it's definitely not about hating women. The real path forward, it's about becoming the kind of man who no longer needs approval, a man who doesn't depend on being chosen to feel valuable, a man who doesn't build his worth around being accepted by someone else, a man who rises not for validation, but for himself. Because when you carry that kind of self-respect, when your life is rich with purpose and direction, you stop needing love to complete you. And ironically, that's when people start being drawn to you, not because you're chasing, but because you're centered, because you're whole, because you radiate something that can't be faked. But none of that happens if you stay silent forever. If you keep pushing your pain down, it will grow, it will come out sideways, it will show up in your relationships, your habits, your moods. That's why you must speak it, even if it's just to yourself. At first you must face it, and then choose something better. Choose not to collapse, choose not to hate, choose to build, because silence doesn't make you strong. Healing does, and healing doesn't. Start with blaming women, it starts with asking yourself, what am I holding on to? What story am I still telling myself? Am I still trying to prove my worth, or am I finally ready to own it? Because once you start living for yourself, once you start building from the inside out, you become unstoppable. The path forward, let's get something clear. Understanding hypergamy doesn't mean you have to hate it, it doesn't mean you have to become bitter, angry, or fake. It simply means you've learned how things really work. And now you're choosing to respond with strength, not with pain. It's not about changing yourself into someone you're not, it's about growing into someone stronger, more solid, more focused. You don't need to become perfect, you don't need to become rich overnight, or act like someone you're not, but you do need to become powerful in your own life, not so women will notice, not to win someone back, but for you, because the moment you shift your focus away from chasing love, and start building your foundation from within, everything changes. It starts with one simple shift. Stop asking, how can I get her to choose me? And start asking, how can I become the kind of man I'm proud of? That shift will change your mindset, your actions, and your direction, because most men spend their energy trying to get attention, trying to be liked, trying to be chosen. What if you stopped doing that? What if instead you started competing with your past self? What if you woke up every morning and asked, where am I still playing small? Where am I giving up when I should be pushing through? Where have I been lazy, weak, or afraid? And how can I do better today? This isn't about hating yourself, it's about being honest with yourself, and using that honesty to fuel growth. Your path is not the end. Because when you build yourself from the inside out, when you stop looking around for validation, and start looking inward for strength, you begin to change, not overnight, but day by day. You become a man with discipline, with purpose, with a mission. You become someone who doesn't need to be chosen, because he's already chosen himself. Here's the truth most men never hear: when you stop chasing attention, you begin to radiate something different: calm, confidence, presence, and that's when people notice you. Women, friends, strangers, not because you begged for it, not because you showed off or tried too hard, but because you carry something rare, a quiet strength, a sense of direction, a power that comes from within, not from someone else's approval. And that's when everything shifts. You stop waiting to be chosen, you start doing the choosing. You stop feeling like you're behind, you realize you've been ahead all along, you just hadn't activated your power yet. So here's your path forward. Don't pretend, don't perform, don't collapse. Build your body, build your mind, build your skills, build your life, not to impress, but to evolve. Because when you're evolving, when you're focused on becoming better than you were yesterday, you don't need attention to feel worthy. You already know your worth. And that kind of man, that kind of energy, it doesn't chase, it attracts. Your pain is not the end. Let's be honest, you're going to get rejected in life, not just in love, but in jobs, friendships, opportunities, and dreams. Sometimes the person you wanted will choose someone else. Sometimes someone you gave your heart to will leave. And no, you may never become completely immune to that pain. You're human. It will still sting. But here's the difference. It will no longer break you. It won't ruin you. It won't define you. It won't stop you. Why? Because now you're building something solid inside of yourself, something that rejection can't touch. You now have a mission, a direction, a path. You're walking not for others, but for yourself. You've built habit, strength, discipline. You've stopped relying on others to feel whole. And because of that, if someone leaves, you let them go, not with hate, not with desperation, but with peace, because you understand something most men never learn. Your value does not come from who stays in your life. It comes from what you build with your life. The truth is, some people will walk away, some people won't see your worth, some people will take you for granted. But that has nothing to do with your value, because your worth was never supposed to come from outside of you. Schopenhauer warned us love can hurt. He told us that love, as beautiful as it feels, can also destroy you if you don't understand it, that falling in love blindly without awareness can turn into suffering. And he was right, but where Schopenhauer saw only pain, nature gave us the answer. He said, turn that pain into power, use it, grow from it. Let it sharpen you, not break you. Turn your heartbreak into discipline, turn your rejection into direction, turn your loneliness into focus. Let your silence become your strength. So what now? Build your strength, train your body, not to look good, but to feel powerful. Sharpen your final thoughts. Mind, read, learn, think deeply, own your time, stop wasting it on things that don't help you grow. Forge your path, create a life that reflects your values, your dreams, your purpose. And if love comes, let it come, but don't make it the center of your world. Don't build your self-worth around someone else's attention. You are already enough. You don't need to chase, you don't need to beg, you don't need to crumble every time something doesn't go your way. This is the beginning Of a new you, you are no longer. The man who waits to be chosen, you are the man who chooses. You are no longer the man who falls apart. When things fall apart, you are the man who stands back up stronger than before. You are no longer the man who hides his pain. You are the man who turns pain into purpose. So here's what I'll leave you with: don't beg, don't chase, don't shrink, grow, lead, rise. Because once you know who you are, no one, no rejection, no failure, no heartbreak can make you feel like you're not enough.